Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Kat of StrayKatStyle. Welcome to episode number 10 of my interview series, Conversations with StrayKatStyle. This is my opportunity to sit down with various resellers, small business owners, to learn just a little bit more about them, what makes them tick, a little bit more about their history, how they came to be in the particular business that they're in, whether it is clothing, it is mindfulness, whether it's maintenance as far as skincare, hair, all of that good stuff. So we are going to be interviewing today. She is here, the lovely Darla of DC Little Fashion. We're going to be interviewing her today. Let me go ahead and welcome her in. Give me just a moment. I'm so excited. See if it's letting her in. Sometimes it takes a minute to get her in here. Let's see. All right, let's try it again. Let's try it again. Okay, Darla, I might need you to go out and come back in and see if that helps. Let's try that. Um, it's little technical difficulties. You know, it happens. It happens. I hope you guys, thank you so much for everyone that has popped in thus far. Really appreciate you joining. Okay, because it said she's unable to join. So let's try it again. Why don't I'm going to invite her. Let me invite her and see if that makes a difference. There we go. Let's try it again. Take off my brace.
Ta-da!
Yes. Hi, Judy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited.
Let me scoop back. I feel like my face is all up on everybody.
You're like, hello. How you doing? How you doing?
How?
I'm really excited. So I did a little bit of an introduction as to what Conversations with StrayKatStyle is. I'm using this as an opportunity to sit down with fellow small business owners. I've been interviewing mainly women thus far and women of color. Darla is a woman of color, and we are just talking about how we came to start this journey. Like what inspired us, how we started it, business practices, influences, things like this. So it's really, really fun. It's really exciting. And I know it's funny because I feel like both of us, Darla and myself, we kind of share.
Yes.
We're sharers. So it's like, people know a lot of things about us already, but we get to go a little more in depth. And Darla gets to versus like selling and, how we do our lives. This is our chance to just kind of sit down, hang out, learn more about each other. And it's usually a very, very exciting time, very great conversation. Everyone that is here thus far, please, please, please share this live. I'm going to, as Darla's during her initial introduction, I'm going to share the live so that we can get some more folks in here, because this is I find that these are really, really beneficial in their ways. They're so beneficial for people that are kind of doing the same game as we are. They're they're small business owners also, so it's really helpful. Hey, Stacy. Okay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, Pete. Welcome, Darla. We're going to start
like a rock star.
Maybe. Now, the thing about this is that we're not gonna, we're gonna get in depth as far as your journey and everything. So just tell them just a little bit about you. Like you could, family members, anything that you want to do to kind of like introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm like nervous. Look at
You're
my sweat.
it's gonna be so fun. Don't be nervous.
AC on high. Got a little fan blowing. Holy moly! I feel so special. Thank you. So I don't even know. Most of the girls know me on here. But yeah. So I started out. I've probably been doing this for like almost 20 years. I started out with purses, but I worked in social work, and I just like loved fashion. Absolutely loved fashion. So I thought it would just be a little second side hustle. So I just started selling nothing but purses for like 10 years. Purses, 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 which was amazing. I made really good money doing that. And then at work, when I was working with social work, I used to teach life skill classes. God, I'm like sweating. I'm like, really? What the heck? Woo! I need to be serious. I need to be serious, or I will never be welcome.
No, you have to be serious. There's lots of giggles. There's lots of like, this is a conversation. We're having when we do lives together and we do that, you don't get to really converse the way that we're going to converse. So it's just us sitting down, hanging out, learning more about you, like going more, so people can just fall in love with you as much as I love you. So it's just like, it's the opportunity for them to learn more. So then why don't we're going to just jump on in it. We're going to jump in it. And I'm going to, please tag for this. At some point I'm going to share it right now. But what I wanted you to do, okay, so first of all, because you were talking about social work and all that, but, and you were nurses. So when you were younger, did something like, for me, I had an experience in high school that kind of gave me an appreciation for like secondhand and resale at thrift stores and things like that. Because you kind of ventured into vintage, but you do mostly contemporary pieces, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So then what was your like, because I saw some pictures.
What was my go-to?
You were doing your thing. So how did you fall in love with fashion? Like, let's just start back at the beginning. When you were younger and you're like, ooh, I kind of like this. How did you fall in love with fashion?
So when I was growing up, we were poor. My mom died when I was a little girl. So it was just my dad and my grandma raising. So we couldn't really afford anything. So my grandma Becky, which we called her Grandma Ducky, she would take us to the thrift store. And I was like, oh my God, I never want to come here. I wanted, without a mom, without all these extras, you just kind of wanted new things, nice things. But I became obsessed. I've always loved fashion. I have pictures of me when I was like 6 years old with matching my sister's. You were still old fashioned.
Yes, me too. Your sister, I was posing.
Yeah.
Like, keep posing.
But I think it's because I couldn't have it. You know what I mean? I had powerful women in my life, but I wanted to be like this little supermodel, and I wanted to be like beautiful because I wasn't attractive at all. High school, you have acne and my self-esteem was low. I was depressed. I lost my mom. I lost my grandma. So it was like one way for me to kind of like, get out of that little funk. But when I worked in social work, it really helped me because I would teach life skill classes to women, and I would go and send them it's working women's wardrobe out there. And so we would bring clothes in. So I would help the ladies dress for free, the homeless women and stuff. Oh, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is my calling. Yeah. There is something out there for me.
Yeah.
I am able to do something with my life. So that's where it all started. I worked in social work and working with my homeless women, just trying to make them feel glamorous because they had like similar stories, And
how old were you when you were doing this? When you started to do this, how old were you?
When I started working in social work, I was like probably like 28, 29. I was young, but I always worked with families. I always worked with kids. So it was always something. I worked at the YMCA, was my first job, and then worked in preschools. I just loved working with kids and people. It was like an obsession. I think it was something that I didn't have, trying to kind of like reach out, you know what I mean? And they were all so lucky, and oh my God, these kids are so blessed, and da-da-da. But then it got to bigger and better things, and I had social work. I don't have a degree. I went to school for 2 years. Then I had my son, my first child, and then I could have finished school, which is a dumb excuse, but I didn't because it was just, me and my husband taking care of our kids, and my husband was in school. So yeah, money was never, ever a thing for us. It was always, you got to hustle. You got to hustle to get your own out there. We didn't come from money. So yeah.
Well, Josh and I, like, I did not come from money. Like, there's very, very, very hard times and very, like, painful things and things that it's just like growing up, because my father passed when I was little. And but Josh was the opposite end. But we have the same existence. Like we have the same existence. Like we think about like things, the commonality. We have the same experience, life experience, even though we were the opposite spectrums, which is wild. You know, you wouldn't think that, but that's the way it was. So, so you started doing this with your social work and you like absolutely loved it. But then what made you start to say, was it, because you were talking about the holy hustling nature, was that part of it, the reason why you started to do handbags? Or
Yeah,
were you
because
really up for,
yeah, because we were poor. I went to a private high school. I don't know what my dad did. You know, I didn't pass the test because I didn't want to go to private high school. I wanted to stay in the public high school. But my dad says when your mom died, she wanted to make sure that you went to private high school. So, and my cousin Julie, which is right there, her parents are a big factor in my upbringing after my mom died, big time. That was my dad's best friend since they were like, I don't even know how old, kids. So I took the test and I flunked it on purpose, but my dad says, my dad was a hard school man. I don't give it. You're going to do it. And I'm so glad that I did. And then when I got out, I was like, I don't want to be poor. I'm tired of like, you know, it was just my dad that raised us. It was just my dad. We didn't have money. You know, Friday nights were treats once in a while. And I said, I don't want to live like that. And then when me and my husband hooked up, you know, he was in school. And then I just said, you know, I just wanted to make extra money. So it just literally came as a side hustle because I was obsessed with bags. I was obsessed with fashion. So whatever I didn't have growing up, I wanted to make sure that I was able to get what I can get for other women that weren't able to do any of that. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got a story. Everybody's got crap to come from,
yeah,
you know?
I'm sure my mom would like hate me for sharing it, but I had a sister whose birthday was in the middle of the month. After a week, we would not have money. And so she was no birthday presents for like growing up. So then when I became an adult, I got her an emerald diamond set, like a coordinating set, because I was like, this is to make up for all the birthdays where you didn't, a cake, things like that. It was like, it was rough. But I think that I think that that's tremendous to have somebody, another family step in and like be blessings to you. I think that that is wonderful because it probably helped to like keep you the strong individual that you are. You know what I mean? And like, you know, because that's rough. That's rough, losing your mom at a young age. And it sounds like you're still very close with them. So that's a good thing too. You still love each other.
All through school, me and her, Julie, she's on here, me and my cousin, we always said we were cousins. And I was like, in high school, yeah, you girls do look alike. But all our life, we said we were cousins. We're best friends. You know, we're still best friends. Our lives
You can start looking like each other. You can, you know.
Yeah.
Like
But her
mom,
mom and dad were a big factor in everything. And then she came from like a good, solid family. And I'm like, you know, I was envious of that. I'm like, God, why can't I have that? Why can't I go shop? And you know what I mean? It was crazy. But yeah, when I was old enough to get out of high school and old enough to do my own thing, you know, and then I hooked up with my husband and we got married and had my son. I was like, there's no way. There's got to be something. I need to do something at what I like. Well, I actually started because I was very, very crafty, very crafty. I used to start with flowers and make arrangements and sell them. I would do weddings, you know, quinceañeras, parties. I would do the hall. So I knew how to do all that. But I'm like, I need to find a way to make a little bit more money, you know? So, and that's when I started my purses. And eBay started, and it took me like 2 years because I'm like, there's no way. I don't know all the technical. I don't know how to do all that. But my husband's like, you know what? You better learn it. So I did it completely out of fear, and I like took off. It kicked, but I made pretty decent money. And then
really,
Poshmark, and then here came all these other ones, you know, and I did all of them as well. And then when I got an Instagram, I only got an Instagram just to look at everything. You know what I mean? That's what everybody's on here for. When you first start out, I had no idea what live sales were. And then I was jumping on a couple of the girls. I'm like, oh, I can talk. I can do that. You know what I mean? Let's try. Yeah. Oh, and I was sucked in. So now I don't even post anything on Poshmark or any of the other platforms because I sell all my stuff on my lives, you know?
Well, you know, because I have some things that are aside, but we haven't sold, like we haven't posted in a minute. We have a big sale going on right now and it's doing very, very well. But we rarely list. We're going back to doing a little bit, but yeah, it's like there's a lot of time, like you know, there's a lot of time that it takes to get used to that. And I had a bad experience with eBay, so I left eBay, and then Josh was like, we should try it again. We should try it again. And like it became like our main one, and then Poshmark was second. Now Poshmark is first, eBay is second, and Depop's a little bit behind that. So it's like, you know, and it's a whole different beast. Every platform is very different as far as like what you need to do. You can't use the same like model for each. So you did eBay. How long did you do eBay before you were doing Poshmark? Because it sounds like you said eBay came out. So you're like, and that's a commonality that Tracy, my last person I interviewed, Tracy, she, you know, eBay when it was first starting, she got on there. Was it around when it was first starting that you did it also? So I think that OG people like you definitely had a leg up to establish yourself, because there's always the trust issue.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
The whole like confidence, buying with confidence. And if you're on there longer, they're going to be like, okay, I know that if I buy from this seller, I'm going to, you know, I know I'm going to get my stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have good ratings, all of that stuff, you know. But eBay's like changed, but it's a behemoth. Like eBay's like such a big thing. So then so you don't list on those, so you just do on your lives, because we're going to talk about all the transitions on your with your lives, because just in the amount of time that I've known you, you've kind of shifted your what your business is. So let's talk about, okay, so you did eBay, you did Poshmark was good, and then so you see people on Instagram, you're like, ooh, I could talk. I can talk, so I can do this. So how did you first dip your toe into it? Like, how did you, because did you have other people that you knew that were on the platform, or did you start like us? We started with no followers, nothing, and we're just like, you know, let's just, because I had a family page. I had a family, for our travels that we did, I had a family page. So that's a Wandering Wilson. That's my family one. But yeah, so then, you know, when I started selling, I started, you know, StrayKatStyle. It was different. What was the name? I forget. But how did you dip your feet into it?
It was so popular. I'm like, what the heck is this eBay? And I remember, my husband's on here now, and it's so funny because I remember the very first thing, I didn't know anything about what was authentic. All the coaches look coached, all the Louis look Louis, but we loved, and we were obsessed with going to like yard sales and going thrifting. And what are those swap meets? That's one thing out here in Arizona. We love our Sunday swap meets. Loved them. We would be falling and all, and we find so much stuff. So the first thing we found like a coach bag, and I'm like, look at this will be the very first thing we go ahead and put on eBay. And we're checking it out. We're like, yeah, it's real. So we sold it, right? And then the lady writes back. She goes, ma'am, this is not an authentic coach bag. And I was like, oh shit. So I had to learn how to authenticate what was real. I did my homework through everything, but I was on Mercari. I still have all those accounts open. You know what I mean? But when I connected with the live, I'm like, oh, it is so much work to go and list. I mean, these lives are a lot of work as well, but I don't know how you guys do it. But to list on Poshmark and eBay, it takes you hours to put stuff on there. And here, when I do my live, I line up. It still takes me hours, but it's just a lot of work. To me, it's easier doing it live here, and plus my stuff goes quicker. But you know, I'm gonna get back on there. I just told myself today, because I need that little extra change. And I got on Whatnot.
Well, you know, one of the things that when I was talking to Tracy, one of the things that she was discussing, and she's very, very adamant about, is picking the right bucket. And so you list particular things, like especially with a higher retail value, you do them on like Poshmark, and then there's certain things you have for Whatnot, and then you may have the things for Instagram. She's mainly on Whatnot, but she started on eBay. But it's, you know, I think that there's some truth to that. And so that's what when because girl, COVID rolled around. I have an autoimmune problem. So I was teaching music and movement classes. I couldn't do it because I was already getting sick as it was, just being alive, you know? And so it was just like, it's not worth it. So I just stopped. And then we went from 0 to 5,000 really quickly. And talk about, you say it's a long time. Pictures, listening, all that stuff. I did it all by myself. So I woke up, did all day. My kids are home, do dinner, whatever, all day. doing it until we got to 5,000 listings. That's pretty fast, and like that's a lot of work. And I don't know if I could do that again because it was very, very taxing. So it's like when you talk about the time, intensive time, I'm having holy like flashbacks. I'm having like flashbacks where I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. You know, I'm having a flashback right now about it. So it's like, I think that that's interesting. But the thing is that because you love going and you finding these things that, oh, like, you know, and you love finding them and just like, ooh. And you have like, there's a certain like people come and there's a certain style that they know. Like I think there's a certain style that can be attributed to your lives, like kind of like boho, very like I'm not gonna say like kind of like tropical in a way, because you would get all this fringy stuff, all this floral stuff. You know, that's part of your thing, lacy, all of that. So did you? Because that's a thing. Because you started, you're doing your thing. Did you say, okay, I'm gonna sell this kind of thing, or did you say, okay, or did you have to go through trial and error to figure out like what you were gonna? How did that kind of like transition?
So
that whole part of it?
Well, I started when I was doing eBay. I told my husband, you know what? Because I was always researching, and people were having trunk parties. So I'm gonna, before I go live big time and start reaching out to all these other platforms, I'm gonna have. So I had parties at my house. I would put my racks up, my jewelry. I'd have holiday. I would do what I do here, and I would do it, and I would have all my friends. It was like amazing. It was amazing. And my girls always supported me, whether my friends, whether they bought anything or not, they were always there. So they would kind of boost me, do it, you know? So when we did that, that was the first time I would go and start buying clothes. So me and my husband would just go to our little thrift stores, and we would just put whatever. He goes, oh, you would like this. And we throw it in.
So wait, back up. Because let's talk about, before you move on to that, let's talk about the trunk shows. So how did you go about manifesting and making that happen? Did you just, did you do any kind of advertisement? Because you're talking about friends and things that'll come over. Was it predominantly friends? Did you do any kind of advertisement to get anyone else in the community involved?
No, and this was when I lived in California. So I was raised there. So I had a lot of friends. Bring your friend, you get a gift, you know, this and this and that. So we always had like turnout, but yeah, and it was awesome, you know. So but when we first started doing that, like I said, we would just fill up the carts, and my husband's like, you like this color, this, and then it was totally trial and error, because I'm like, I bought like 99.9% smalls. I'm like, who in that wears small? So I'm not small, my friend, you know what I mean? So, and the girls were like, Darla, did you forget you got big girlfriends? You know, we ain't no small or medium. What are you doing? And then I get on and I get on the other platforms, and I'm like, oh my God, my smalls are not selling as quick as my medium to extra large plus sizes. But that's how I really got, and then once I figured out, honestly, I'd probably say about 5 years ago is when I really got into my vibe of what I like. So now when I go, I know, before I would buy anything. I would buy anything that's going to make money, it's going to make money, and it would be a loss. You know what I mean? So now I'm very, 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 I spend like 4 or 5 hours at the G-Dub. You know what I mean? I'm very, very, very picky. Just like yesterday, me and my husband were at another store, and he had something for me, and I'm like, this is not going to fit in with my vibe. My girls are going to say, Darla, that's not your style. You know what I mean? But my style is what the girls want. So if I know that they're all into this trend and they like, then that's what I'm going to bring. But I have to have color. I'm like obsessed with color. Always have been. So yeah.
Wow. So it's interesting because I love it, because your husband's like part of it, and so my husband, we're trying to do whatever we can to just make it where Josh is just he doesn't have to go do something else, so this is just what we do. And so because when Cole would go to, Josh would go shopping. He was the original. He was the original, and some of the stuff sold, some of it we still got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so he's like, wait, because you know the numbers, because we started off like doing like the month 2-13 / 2-13. Now we're like at 1021 like dash, you know. So it was like those small numbers. So we're like, when we see that number, we're like, oh, that's hella old. That's hella old. Josh is like, I remember buying that. It was one of the first. And I think it's cool that your husband was like doing it, because some guys don't like to. Some guys don't like to like go and do that and shop with their lady. They're just like, okay, I'm just gonna wait in the car or whatever.
He does do that sometimes, but he's like always been full blown. I'm like, honey, I'm short. He goes, but you sold all your things. How are you short? Can you not go out and source? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I did or whatever. But booking is another thing. I need to get with someone who's a really good bookkeeper, because I'm always broke at the end, you know. But then my husband's like, well, you're buying this and you're spending it on this.
You know what it is, Darla. It's the margaritas, the margaritas, the margaritas, the margaritas. That's what it is.
I need to get
because that's a nice like shot.
But I
that's
love, and my thing now is that since I'm in my 50s, me and my husband are like, I'm like, you know, he has a great job, and we have retirement and we have all that stuff, thank God, knock on wood. But I always say, you know what, I tell my kids, don't expect us to give you anything when God takes us home. And my son's all, I know, Mom, you're living your life. I go, yeah, we have this house that they'll get, if they want it, they don't. But I am not going to not work and do everything just so my kids can have a good life. Hope to God raise them right to know how to be independent. When Mom and Dad go, yeah, my mom and dad lived their life. So even when I'm not always coming out on top of my business, my husband's like, we had a good time. I'm okay, let's go here. We're always, we're always out, always. My friends and everything.
That's what I'm talking about. You talking about how we broke. I'm like, girl, you living.
Yeah, they say you act like you're 18, but I work for this business. I don't think I've ever, no, in social work, I totally miss my people in social work. And I get real emotional when I talk about that, because I still miss my people. You know what I mean? Even on the streets now, when I see homeless people, I still talk to them. Just the other day, a man was sitting out there, and I always see him, and I went and took him food. You know, I always still try to help them. And I know that's where my heart is, but I know that I can no longer do it. It was so emotional. I would bring the homeless home. I would bring people, my husband's like, what? And the kids, what the heck? Who's at the door, Mom? Who is that guy out there? I go, oh, I know. I said I wasn't bringing anybody home. You know what I mean? But I had to just reach out and use it as another way, you know what I mean? Another outlet. Because you know what they say? They say people that come from, a lot of trauma and a lot of depression and anxiety, they're the funny ones. They're the jokers. They're trying to cover. This is what they say. They're trying to cover what's really going on inside. And when I heard that years ago, I'm like, that's totally me. I think that's why I'm always trying to be happy. You know what I mean? And because I suffer, a lot of people don't know, but I suffer from depression and anxiety. And it was absolutely horrible in my life. Because when my mom died, I was 10 years old. And my grandma, which was like many of your grandmas, like your mother, she died 2 weeks before my mom. Oh my God. I was suicidal. I was so depressed. Life has never been the same. It just gets me emotional, but life has never been the same, because I don't think I've ever felt so much love and so much. I mean, my husband and kids, everybody loves me. But when you're grandma and your mom, you don't have a mom, you know what I mean? And kids are laughing at you. You don't have a mom. You don't, and crap like that.
It can be so cruel. It can be so cruel.
Yeah, but so I know that all has a lot to do with why and who I am today, and why I just want to live my life. I don't care. I just don't care. Nothing affects me. Nothing affects me. It's like, you got bullies, people. I don't know why. I would never bully anybody. I don't talk about anybody. And you know what? It is what it is, but I don't lose sleep anymore. 5 years ago, I would have. 10 years ago, I would have totally been depressed. Oh my God, why don't they like me? How can I make them like me? Really, Darla? Now that I think about it, really, who cares? I don't need approval anymore. But it all goes with your trauma. Everybody's the way they are because of their trauma. And that's what I used to teach in my life skill classes. You know what I mean? That these women were so beat up.
Well, there's something that, because, I went through about 6 years of really, really bad health. And I think it was because I had black mold poisoning. And I think that's what affected my autoimmune system. And I've never been the same because of that. But one person that, when I was in North Carolina, she was at Duke, and she explained it like this. And I really, really agree with this. She says that everybody system, and your root system is like your genetics, your genetics, predispositions, all of that stuff that you got from your grandmother, your great-great-grandmother, your parents, all of that. So you have that root system, but everybody has their own experiences in their life. So my experiences are different from my sister. So my tree is going to grow differently. So I'm going to have this branch. She won't have it because she didn't experience that. She's going to have these branches because and I won't have them because I didn't experience that. So everybody's tree turns out differently depending on their experience.
Yeah.
So when you have your root system with your siblings and everything, you may have like, or if you have like where, you know, even a cousin or whatever, where it's a close thing, just those little bit of things will make your tree grow differently. And you might have different health problems because of that, because of the different things. And so your mom and your grandmother passing, that's like a thing that it affected your root
Yeah.
system, you know, so your tree grew in a certain way. So ever since that person told me that, it's made so much more sense to me. It's almost like it makes it black and white.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so I'm in school. I'm like have to sit at the front of the class because I'm like a nerd, and so I have to sit in the front of the class with my glasses that were broken in the middle, and did not get new glasses, were taped. I'm sitting in the front. One side of my glasses goes this way. One side of my glasses go this way, and that was so traumatizing because
Yeah.
people saw my glasses fall off, and it was so traumatizing. And it's like my sister didn't go through that, you know, but then I did all this stuff, and then, you know, they're out this,
Yeah.
you know, during lunch, you know, I'm in class, you know, and so our root systems are different. So it's like, it's very, very, it's respecting the fact that people had different things that happened in their lives. And so the person that you are and the welcoming person that you are and the kind of like makes me laugh so hard, you know, that what you experienced in your life, like affected that. You know, it affected that and made it like the person that you are. So it's like, I have mad respect for, like, you know, this is the thing. People are learning these things about you. You've probably touched on the surface of some of these things, but they're really learning this about you. And so there's such a humanity that is brought out from learning these things about each other, because everything is not rainbows and sunshine, even though, you know, everybody wants, you know, that would be ideal, but it's not that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you like it kind of like, I think that it kind of like tempers like how you interact with other people because of your experiences. Because you mentioned that the whole like bullying thing, and I think that's something that maybe we can talk about really quickly, and not specifics about it, but the fact that we're very vulnerable.
Yeah.
We're alive by ourselves. We're very vulnerable. Like, people can read whatever they want out of it. If you're not having, like, if you're not as perky or whatever, people can read and they could be hurt by different things that you don't have control over. So how did you deal, because you know, you talk about anxiety and all that. How did you like deal with that when you're like getting on a platform where it's like just you, there's the whatever device you're using to broadcast, and you have to like deal with anything that's like kind of being thrown at you? Hopefully it's positive, but you know,
Yeah.
it's very hard for me not to do posts about people like coming at me. It's really hard for me not to do that,
Yeah.
because I don't want to, like, I just want to move on.
Yeah.
And I might do small little things, you know, just empowerment things like posts,
Yeah.
because I want to like work past it. But how did you deal with that? Because you're like, it's not an easy thing to like, it's not an
It's not.
easy thing
And
to tackle.
especially it's not easy. And I know that's another part of why I went into social work, because I wanted these women to feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love my dad. That's another story, whatever. But when I was also 15, I found out that my dad wasn't my biological dad. So I was going through so much. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? My mom died, my dad died. Now Jimmy is not my dad. So I still have a lot of those issues, but I meditate and pray all the time. But when I started getting into social work, that's when everything changed, because I'm like, knock it off, Darla. People have it 100 times worse than you. But when I started teaching my classes and doing social work,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like $1,000,000. I felt like I was finally worth something, because my dad that raised me, I love him. I love him. He put me in a private school. He did everything my mom did. He loved me just like my sister. There was no difference, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but he was very controlling and kind of like verbally abusive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I had zero self-esteem, zero. You know, my dad didn't want me. Where is he? My mom left me, and so did my grandma, you know, and so I had horrible abuse. But when I would do my classes and social work, I just felt so empowered, and I felt so good. And I remember going back, my very first time I did my first class, it was on, I was teaching women how to work, building up that confidence. And I would tell my boss, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. He goes, what do you mean? You stand up and you fight for these clients all the time.
Yeah.
You almost lost your job times because you can't keep your mouth shut, you know. And so I fail for my clients if that's what I believe. You know what I mean? And if you
Mhm.
break the law, you break the law. But I would always go toe to toe. So I sat back and I just totally evaluated. And, you know, I taught them how to do a resume. I taught them how to speak up and how to walk. You walk straight. Don't walk with your head down. Never walk with your head down because it just,
Mhm.
you, for one attack, you know, you look like you were vulnerable. That's a sign also for domestic, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You carry yourself. So I taught them all that. But the first time I did that, I felt like $1,000,000. And now that I do it on my lives, I'm like, oh, it's just, but there's plenty of times where I have horrible days still. I'm like, my depression isn't what it was 20 years ago. It's nothing
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But I still have my anxiety, but it's still nothing. I'm on medication. You know,
Mhm.
my kids hate it. Me and my kids just had a big talk about it. They hate it because of the side effects. You know what I mean? Mom, your memory is really bad. Mom, this. I have a lot of side effects. Because taking medication for like 30 years is not good, you
Yeah.
know? But when I do my classes now, and the ladies, they know, are you not having a good day? But I kid you not, every time I get on a live here, I just look at who's on here, and I am just so grateful. I'm like, you know what? I am worth this. You know what I mean? I do have friends. I do have people. Still, I still say that. I
Yeah.
do have people that like me. You know what I mean? Because I was bullied as well. Aside from that guy, I was bullied. Yeah, it was just it was not a bad life. It was just, yeah, it just wasn't something, you know, you don't pick your life, but it is what it is. I'm not a victim of it anymore. I played victim for years, and now I just move on and I do what I got to do. And I still believe in empowering women, dressing these women, giving them beautiful things to feel good. I don't know what any of these women are going through at home. I
Mhm.
have no idea
Mhm.
if they suffer from depression, if they're
Mhm.
going through domestic violence,
Mhm.
whatever. But if just purchasing that one dress, that one piece, Rocket, send me a picture, I'm going to blow you up. It's not about me. It's not
Yeah.
about lives. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I am
Mhm.
just here to make you look good and feel good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And to me, probably the most empowering thing anybody can do. And that's why every time I hang up from my lives, I'm like, I'm so juiced up. I'm ready to just fly. I am ready to fly because I'm like, there's so many women out there that are just so amazing. Not everybody is a big head. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Well, you know, it's there are people that, you know, on Instagram that are really like, they really truly are tremendous people that really like you say, there's no such friend as like an Instagram best friend, you know, that's, and seriously, it's genuine, you know, I feel like it's a genuine thing. And I think that is like, oh, you know, these platforms, that one of the very, very, you know, just as much as there can be negative things, there can be positive things, you know, there can be so many positive things. So it's like, you know, Josh, he's like, you know, baby, get on the live, and you're like, what? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just like, because I'll just be like, because, you know, because I have a tendonitis from being a musician. Too loud. So slight hearing loss. So ringing constantly, like I hear ringing right now. And so it's like, so it's very hard for me to get to sleep. So I have to be super, super tired to go to sleep. And so I don't get a lot of sleep. And so it's like, but I'm not tired. But it's like this, like getting on the live makes me like super juiced up.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like
yes.
you get on
Ready to
singing,
go.
singing, dancing.
Yeah.
It's like singing. It's like good old time. Then you got the live, and you know, that does carry on. But let's talk about something that, because everyone, for me, like, different people that I like can look to as far as like fashion inspiration. Did you have anybody that or do you have anybody that's like, you're like, that you dig their style and you're kind of like, ooh, you know, just even if you don't emulate it and wear the things like that, kind of like, you're like, ooh.
So I didn't really have anybody like growing up, but we had friends. I don't even know if my husband knows this, but we had friends that used to hang out with us.
Mm-hmm.
And she dressed so sharp every single time. And I'm like, oh, I want to carry myself like that.
Uh-huh.
And you know, we don't talk to them anymore. I don't know whatever happened. They moved, whatever. No reason why. But it was just everything about her. I mean, she was funny as she'd walk in and she was, and I'm like, Oh my God, those clothes, Mark, they're killing me. So kind of, she's the one that started me off, and that was years ago. That was my husband's best friend's sister.
So how would you describe her style?
Oh,
Like, I'm
it was,
curious.
yes. So she would all, I love my wide baggy pants. I love wide pants. So she would, that's how she dressed. She always had a lot of jewelry on. She was always glam. She didn't dress like no hoochie. She didn't dress tight. She was classy. She dressed beautiful. If it was a nice, beautiful summer dress, she had her rings and she always had her jewelry. She had her beautiful, you know, she wasn't really a hat lady, but she was just classy. So she honestly was the very first one that I said, oh my God, she's just fire, man. You know? Yeah, she was just,
Aww.
oh yeah. She doesn't know that. I think one day, if she's my friend on Facebook, I think I'm going to just let her know that I just thought and she's totally what started me. I mean, I've always loved fashion, but she's the one that got me out there and just do it, Darla. Who cares, you know? Plus,
Yeah.
I didn't have the money she had, you know, so I couldn't put half of the things. But I'm like, I could get it at the G-Dub. She doesn't know that I just spent $75 for that pair of pants.
Well, the thing about it is like now you can just there's such a thing as like recreating a look. You know, you
Yes,
can go and find
totally.
things.
Yeah,
You can totally do that. And because I was just curious, because I'm like, oh, that would be very cool for you to
yeah.
let her know that
I'm
she inspired you, and that you're like, whoa, you're like, hmm. Okay, so let's talk about your business. Okay, because to me it seems like it's kind of, because now you're doing like the really wonderful, like the boxes and things where you do like the little knickknacks and stuff. So okay, so quickly tell me, like, you went from like, because you were doing bags, then what was the progression? Like, okay, I started selling this, then I started selling this, and to get to the knickknacks. Not because you probably do other things, but I know that's your big thing now,
I
and
love
you do waffles and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I love pink. I'm obsessed with pink. I've always loved pink. It was a little girl. So I wanted to bring more pink in to my business. And I follow all these pink girls. And they're all business owners, right? And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
what? I'm like, oh, I could do that. And I have even a better thinking on how, you know, so I kind of would switch it up. So yeah, I just started buying. I said, I'm going to just add more knickknacks because women love for us to dress them.
Mm-hmm.
And the jewelry and all that, but I love to pamper. Sundays are my pamper days. They've been for years. At least I try to do it every Sunday. So I'm like, why not bring in the pamper me things for the girls? You know, you look beautiful in that dress, but let's take care of our skin, because that's also powerful. It's also powerful for a woman to feel beautiful, you know, and take care of your skin and your teeth. And you don't have to have a lot of money for that. So that's when I started getting my little pink boxes, and I was doing the scoops for a little while. But yeah, now I just go and I'll just add whatever I can in there. I add everything that I use. There's nothing in my knickknacks that I add that I don't use. So
Uh-huh.
of course, you know that you're going to buy things that you would wear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to try to sell things that are, because as a business owner, it's the hustle. You know what I mean? It's all about the hustle. I couldn't imagine myself selling you a stick of gum when I hate gum. You know what I mean? That vibe has to be 100%. You know what I mean?
That's why you really hate gum. You're like, gum, get away. Chew
Vibe.
gum, don't
And I'm
bother me.
gonna buy you gum. It's gonna be a pink good gum, and I'm gonna show you how it works, the bubbles and all that. But it's just about, to me, it's just all about the vibe. It's about the energy. It's about attracting women into my store, into my business. You know, yeah, I'm trying to do more waffles. I'm trying to do giveaways like at least once a week. Those waffles are amazing, but the giveaways, the girls love them, you know. And come on now, if I'm making $500 or $600 one night on sales, you better believe I'm going to go do a waffle. I'm going to go do a giveaway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's about the hustle, but it's about giving these girls back, giving back to them. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have crap. I'd still be, you know, twiddling my, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And now that I'm retired from social work, this is my retirement's little side hustle, you know. But yeah, I want to go bigger, and I want to get better. I'll be broke every time. I will be
So do you,
broke.
because you mentioned, because you have but don't you have like an Amazon store? Do you have
I
an
do.
Amazon store? Or is it? Talk about that.
I do. So that didn't work out very well. When I did the teeth, remember the little Kim
Yeah.
Kardashian teeth? So that worked. I got a lot of I got a couple bucks for a couple bucks. But everyone that went and bought it, they didn't buy it from my store, so I don't get credit. You know what I mean? But I don't put on there as much. That's what I'm telling you. Everything is so much more work. I literally spend like 7 in the morning till 2 or 3 at night working my business. I'm like, how the heck does anybody have any I don't have any time for any other thing. I want that extra money from Poshmark, from eBay. You know what I mean? My little side hustles. But this week I'm like so exhausted, mentally drained. Told my husband, because he just went back to California today. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do lives this week. He's like, why? I go, I am like so beat up, and I was going to try to do some story sales, which I've been doing, but I don't want to do that because I don't want to fall out. You know what I mean? I don't want to just get lazy and say, Darla, you know what I mean? Knock that shit off. Get up. You know what I mean? Continue doing what you're doing.
I'm trying to alter my schedule. I'm trying to get, because I go live a lot. And so I'm trying to dwindle it down, so I'm not going live as much, and changing kind of what my business model is, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. But trying to change my days. But I feel like I'm going cold turkey. It's like,
yeah,
where's my live? I need my live. I need to do that. But it's just like, but I've got to get other things. I can't just have that solely. And this, me consciously saying, you know what? Because there's other things that I want to do, like lives where I don't sell, where I just show how to style things, and styling reels, where I show a 5-minute reel, how to style different things. Those are things I want to do. And this Conversations with StrayKatStyle, this is one of the things that I want to do. And it's actually coming to, it's manifesting. So it's finding these other things that aren't, because I think eventually it's going to feed into each other. It'll feed into each other.
Yeah.
So it's just hopefully do that. So, but the thing about it is, Dee, if you're you're not going to fall out, you're too much of a hustler. You've been doing stuff for too long for you to be all of a sudden you're going to get lazy. I think you should just do that's just me saying it, because, and I don't take my own medicine.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I need to send it to me and say, Kat, you told me to do this. You need to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just my Sunday self-care, it used to be it would be 6 hours or whatever. Now it's down to 2. I'm lucky if I get 2. So I need to figure out something to make it more more like that. Okay, so you finished that. You're doing the scoops. So let's talk about business practices, because we always want to talk about that, best business practice. It's going by so fast. I'm like, oh my God, it's going by so fast. I'm enjoying it. Best business practices for anybody that is thinking about doing this, they're looking, they're like, maybe I could do this. Or they're doing it and they're just you know what? Something's not clicking. Or they want to take it to another level. Do you have any best business practices that you would recommend? I know that you did you do scheduling of things, and finding what you like, but tell me some people say source what's around you. Don't overdo it, or whatever, find your lane, try and get your lane into your lane. So what would you recommend as far as the best business practice?
So I think first of all, because
you actually, if you have any.
Because everybody has their own vibe. Every reseller, every business owner, whatever you're selling, has their own vibe. And I've learned this along the way. You just, first of all, you have to, first and foremost, be able to accommodate your buyer. You have to. You can't be a big head. You can't fight with them, because I lost a couple, not because I was had or fought with them, but because I would debate them all. But no, this is when I started doing my life. But no, this and this, no, I'm not going to refund you. Now it's you know what? I try to get the proof, and I try to, but the girls know me. Oh, you didn't get this, Darla. This is the second time you sent me someone else's order. God knows. I'm okay. Well, do you want it or you don't want it? Keep it. Just keep it, and I'll refund your money. But I just think you just have to be able to find a way to accommodate. You cannot always refund everybody. You know what I mean? You need to make sure that you send me a picture. Send me a picture what, you know what I mean, what I sent you. But I just think you have to know how to have a good rapport with people. If you're angry and bitter and you think everyone's out to get you, you need to kind of go in and check that, because I personally don't want to spend an hour hang out on a live with that person that's just got an attitude, woe is me, this and this and that. No, you have to. People do it. People do it. Not everybody's vibrant. People do it. But I'm just saying, if you're ever thinking about starting your own business, no matter what it is, get yourself into check. Check it. Check yourself. Okay, so I got a big mouth. I got a big mouth, you know, and I've calmed down over these years. You know, I don't argue. I'm just like, okay, she wants it, da 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 da, you know, whatever. But that's like number one. Because you as a person are selling whatever you have, you know. And if you're gonna argue, well, it's size this, well, you said it was size that, you said, okay, you know, oh no, but I said it was no, and it's 10, and I'm not going lower, and I'm not. You can't be a knucklehead, because you're already dealing with a knucklehead. You know, there's plenty of us out there. But that, to me, that's number one, because once you got the in with the in, and once they like you and they trust you, you're good. And don't lie, and don't put up a facade and say you're going to do this and you're going to do that, ladies, if you're not going to do it. Nobody wants to hear any shit. As the business owner, it's like I said, it's about you. So yeah, if you're going to start your business, start small. You have to go ahead and make out a plan. I love drawing. I'm not a good artist. I'm not saying any of that, but I would draw and sketch everything before I started out here. You know what I mean? I would just, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. These are the kind of clothes I'm going to buy. I'm not spending this much. I'm going to start up. When I started out, we did start big the first round, but the second round, and I had friends telling me, you know, I want to do something like that. How am I doing? Don't go and buy 100 outfits, because you're not going to sell them on the first. And when you do your first, second, third, fourth, fifth live, you're not always going to have a lot of people. I am barely getting into my 20s sometimes. And then there's times where I only have a couple. In the beginning, it hurt me. You know, I'm like, I'm not good at this. Nobody likes it, but it's not that. There's so many women doing what we're doing. And they're going to go where they get a good deal. They're going to go where they know they can trust the buyer. You know what I mean? So those are the things that you have to reassure them. But yeah, start off small. Just go start with 20, 25 pairs of clothes or watches, whatever you're going to do. Blow up your page. I say this all the time, ladies, all the time. People, be in their face. Be in their face. You know, I post all day and everyone's like, you ain't got a life. My kids are like, Mother, don't you have a life? Why? What are you checking? Because Mother, I saw like your 6th video on there and I'm really getting tired of it. Yo, your class should be working. I don't know why you're watching your mama on there, but be in their face. You need to be in people's face, because you know what? When I first started doing more reels and more reels and more reels, I used her as an example, but she would tell me, she goes, you know what, Darla, I got sick of seeing your face on there. She goes, and I wasn't being mean, but I got tired of saying D-stiletto, D-stiletto. She goes, but some of your reels caught my eye. She's one of like my best buyers now, one of my really good friends. You know what I mean? So I'm like, see, you have to advertise, ladies, 3 to 4 times a day. Reels are number one. Reels, for when you get paid if you do so many reels, and it's just, you know, keeps falling through. It's like a domino effect. But you have to advertise. You have to advertise. You don't have to do all reels. Go and put whatever on. I'm selling this. I'm selling this. I'm going live tonight. You have to interact with other women. Me and Stray Kat we're going live tonight. Me and her are going live tomorrow. You have to be able to communicate with the community, and you have to let everybody know that you're well-rounded. That it's not just about D-stiletto. You know what I mean? Oh no, she ain't gonna help nobody. She's not like that. Start off small, ladies. Go ahead and check yourself, write your little list, because if you got a little attitude and you're trying to sell and it just snips, and it's going to happen, you're normal. You know what I mean? You're human. I still but then I always come back and I'll send them a message. I go, you know what? It's just kind of a little rough day. I'm sorry I didn't mean to sip. I will accommodate you for free shipping next time, or I'll add a little goodie. You know what I mean? And they love that. But
yeah, I always like, if there's any kind of issue, like because like I will, like sometimes I might find a flaw that I didn't notice, and so I go to pack it and I'm just like, oh, I can't send this to them. And then I say, do you want it for this reduced price? Do you want da-da-da? I'll send you a free gift with it. Or if I'm making a mistake, I'm like, okay, next time I'm sending you free gifts. You know, I do that kind of stuff. But you know, I rarely, and I'm like, I'm not doing too bad as far as like monetarily, you know. And my cost of goods have like gone down more, but I rarely have like 10 people. I really have 10 people. And so I'm just like, guys, I'm going to figure out something, because I need to like up it up, you know, and they're just like, don't go.
You got to keep
don't go anywhere. But I'm just like, but I need to figure out for a business as a business owner to be able to, because I can't be live so much. And, you know, I can't bank on people like watching the replay or anything.
Yeah.
So you have to, best business owners, you have to like fine tune like what like works for you.
Yeah.
But it's just like like seriously, like Instagram lives are like primary for us. So Josh is facilitating all of it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, but like today I'm like nervous breakdown because I'm just like, oh my God, because he's like shipped out 30 something, and it's only like not even half of what we did on the Poshmark ones. Plus I'm doing the Instagram ones, like trying to invoice and all that. So it's just so like bonkers.
Oh, yeah.
So but I can't bring that on to the live, even though I joke about it. I talk about it's a hazard. It's a hazard around here because it's a hazard because there's stuff everywhere. So, you know, and I'm looking behind you and it's just all beautiful. But behind here, it's a hazard.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to know
So
what goes
it's like,
on.
people are like, ooh, it's so boutique-y. It looks like, I'm
Yeah.
just like, girl. But if I step over here, it's a hazard.
Yeah. Oh, girl, I know. I know. Yeah, everything is not when you're doing your live because you know you only want them to see a certain corner. Don't go
Yeah.
behind the scenes because that my little office is all up on one side.
Because yours is like so pretty. Like it's all pretty. Sparkle. So I think that sometimes. And I'm like, I wonder, I'm like, dang, that's pretty organized and so girly. And I wonder, because I know I'm a hazard, but I wonder if she's a hazard.
Oh, girl, I don't know why we even did this room. Why we switched rooms for you. Look at that corner. I go, that's because you were supposed to put another table. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I don't know. But hey, we're small business owners. You know, I mean, I don't know. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
So, okay, so we said that mission about business. So then, because, you know, I see you sharing people's stories, and that's part of probably what you're talking about as far as like the community thing and then the customer service aspect of it, being organized, starting off smaller. I know we went big because we were doing listings and we wanted to have like a bunch of listings and then transferring them to different platforms. So there's that. So, but you're saying start small, like, you know, starts fun. And tell you right as you're getting your footing, because like I was resistant. My best friend was like way back saying, Kat, you need to do live sales. You need to do live sales. But I was just like, nobody wants to see me. I'm too much of a goober. I'm a goober. No one's gonna want me. No one's gonna want to watch me do stuff. You know, it's like, you know, I'm just like, seriously. I'm like, why? You know? And then I finally like found my footing, like after like going on whatnot and then coming back and doing all that stuff. And so I'm just like, you know, finding my footing. And so now I'm just like, if I want to sing, I'm going to sing. And on other platforms, I'm like, okay, guys, I try to start off slow. I try to start off slow, but you know, this is how I roll. This is me, you know, and it's just like, so it's just like the whole energy, the whole thing of it. It's like finding and I think you found your happy place, you know? And so, because I don't know if people, I don't know how you think about this, but if people feel like if they are kind of like thin-skinned, or if they're like very like they're, you know, outside influences have a big impact on them, you know, maybe live selling's not, you know, and maybe it's just like posting it instead of live selling, doing posts. But some people don't do that. Some people they do like grid sales and things like that. They do those kind of things. So then how was because you said the waffles, so so waffles, they've been going well for you. It sounds like they've been going really well.
Yeah, and all that, because my goal is, like anybody, my goal is no different than your goal. I want 10,000 people. I want it today. You hear me? I want it today.
I want it now, and I want it now.
I want 10,000 people because then Instagram opens a whole nother world for you out there. You know what I mean? And it's not about that I'm going to be somebody, people are going to look and say, you got 10G out there. You know what I mean? But Instagram does things for those that come to a certain number of followers. So I need to get there. So I'm doing everything in my power. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But the girls love it. I'm saying it's all about giving back to these women. It's all about giving back to these women. I did a Gucci, and one of my best friends won. It was not rigged. It was all done live. It was all done live, you know, and she goes, I would have never got a Gucci, Darla, any other way. I would have never got a Gucci. I paid $9 for it. And I would tell the people to get on my waffle mall. Even if you don't like the color pink, if you're a reseller, you're ridiculous not to buy a $9 ticket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and I have another one, a Kate Spade, you know what I mean? That I'm doing, and I'm blow up when I go live, and that's normally when I sell them. Like if I'll put my Kate Spade, that's what I have right now. I have a Kate Spade bag that I'm doing
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
I don't get a lot of people purchasing the squares, but when I go live, they're buying them right there and then, right there and then. But yeah, I love
Oh.
giveaways, and they love it, and they always come back. It's just a matter of you just have to give back. You know what I mean? You have to give back. You know, and it's I'm not spending $1 million. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I tell you, I'm broke after every. I can make a $300, $400, $500 night, and I get up and calculate, and I'm like, well, zero for Darla. I'm like, what in God's name happened? What am I doing wrong? And then I'm
Darla,
like, oh, but I got
Darla,
I
I am so in check. Like I have to tell people like for the Let's Sparkle, I have to be like, okay, you guys, we have a code. We have a code. Then somebody will say, oh yeah, Kat, I got you for that. I'm like,
yeah, I
because he's in charge of the finances, and like, and so I'm just like, why you do that?
I
Why you do that? Nothing else. I'll be looking over outside. They're like, oh, Josh must be
yeah.
over there.
It's easy to giving you some high sign over there.
So
I
you're just like,
know.
oh, you just doing them, get the everything. Like but the thing about it is like it's just so like what I dig is that because you do these and you dance too, and you just do
Uh,
have fun. You're dancing, you're
I
doing your
used
thing.
to be a
I
really
like absolutely love that. Hmm.
I used to be a really, really good dancer. I don't know what happened, but because my dad I will do whatever I can for
So
my
that's
girls.
so
Look at my
then what is your because I do like to talk about like kind of what we see as a vision for what we're doing in the future that we see for our business lights to spin on other lives. I seriously, seriously. And I'm just
why
like,
I'm
and
broke. That's why
I got my four rings from Angel. I'm like,
oh
cause she's
I'm
like,
in
oh, I
love
have
with
these
her
swimming
too.
pictures.
I'm
Like
waiting.
I have an orange one, I have a red one, I have a black and white one, I have this white one with little, and these are, I said, Angel, I went from 0 rings from you because I couldn't catch a live to 8. How did I go from 0 to 8? How did I go from 0 to 8 in less than a month? How did that happen when I'm buying from other people? So Josh just puts the packages on the table.
I know, and I try, and I get so upset because I can't go on everyone's live, and I
Yeah.
know I don't, but my girls, the ones that I've been working with, other resellers, they know, you know what I mean. It's not that I don't want to buy from you. It's just I don't have any money to buy from you. But you just made a sale, a big sale, you sold out. So what does that mean? That I got all the money? That don't work like that. And then I was doing free shipping. Good God, I was owing money. So even if I sold a $300-400 night, I was owing money. I'm like, honey, can you dip in your little account and put some? I'm not putting no money in there. That's your little hustle. Come on, come on. Oh my God, he's all. You need to shut the club down. You
That's
need
why
to
I'm
shut
a
the
wall. Oh my God.
because
That's
you're
why I'm
not
a wall.
making any money. Yeah, I'm a business owner, but you don't see me
Like
walking.
I always have to tell him, I'm saying, babe, I'm gonna get rid of this because I'm not wearing it. So I'm gonna get rid of this because I want to buy this.
Yeah,
So I do it all the time. People just be laughing. They be clowning me, and I'm just like, you know what?
I always
That's how we roll. That's how
tell
we roll. So it's just like,
I always tell me and my husband will go out or something. Sometimes I'll treat. I'm like, okay, like last night we went out because he was leaving town. Okay, baby, I'll treat. And he goes, well, where are you treating me to? I know your treats. Well, so it was a little chicken shit place and we went to eat. But I always said, well, your money is so much greener than mine. Always, he goes, you know what? I'm really getting tired of that. We go to this one little restaurant bar and they're like, oh no, Darla. Oh no, he's treating to get him over. Yeah, he's treating. He's got a job. Well, so do you. I thought, well, I'm not making no money on my job. It's all the giveaways and it's all the raffles, the waffles and all that. That's why
oh,
it's broke. But
oh.
it is. I love
So
what I
okay. But let's talk about where you see each other, where you see yourself. Okay, because for me, just to give you an example, for me, I want to go live maybe 3 times a week. I want to make it where my story and my grid cells make up for those other days that because I usually go to live at least like 5 days a week.
yeah.
And then, Sunday, hopefully self-care day, and then Monday's shipping and all that. So to do that and then build up on my interview series, that's ideally what I want to do. So you want to get to 10,000 and you want to unlock, you know, the whole thing with Instagram, but what do you see as like, okay, so if you're a year from now, what do you see as far as like what where your business is?
So
Where
I just want to make enough money where I only have to go live 2 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do, you know, and then I can just relax and live my life the rest of the other days. But at the end of the day, in a year, you know, I always wanted to have my own little store, but it's too much work. I don't have animals. I don't have pets. My children are grown for that reason. A dog is another person, a thing you got to take care of. I'm too selfish at my age. I'm too selfish. I just like to tell my husband, let's get up. It's Saturday. Where are we going? Where are we going? You know? So at the end of the day, I just want to be able to do 2, maybe 3 live sales, not worry about it, make a better income than what I'm making now, you know, and then sell a V, see when I see it. You know, my goal is a lot older than a lot of these girls that are reselling. You know what I mean? I'm not old,
yeah.
but, you know, I'm almost 60. So I don't know how much longer I got with my fingers and my, you
Well,
know, God, it's
I think that, and especially with a smaller scale with just bags or whatever, you can be doing this. You could just
yeah.
be doing this. Like Josh and I talk about, like, once the kids are like, you know, we're going to have next year, we're going to have 2 kids in college at the same time. And so it's like, but we're like, once like we get to, so after they're out, where we're just traveling around, if I want to do live, if that's even a thing then,
Yeah.
but just go and just like do the collecting, do the like the little markets and just do that and just have fun finding things, selling them, because it keeps your mind young. I think
Yeah.
it keeps you young to be able
Smart.
to do this,
I
young
agree.
and vibrant. And to keep an active mind, I think that is. So you guys, so I don't have too much longer because they're going to want me for dinner, but I want to open it up. If you guys have any questions, does anyone have any questions for Darla? We've talked about a lot. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of stuff, and I love doing this because of that. Because we got to like really, you know, I talked to you about stuff, but this is really like, and then everyone got to be a part of it.
We need to meet. I need to head out there to Las Vegas. I told you. I
Oh,
gambling.
girl,
I know.
anytime.
I
So,
know.
oh, girl, I would be so over the
Oh,
moon.
it'd be so.
So do you guys have any questions for? I'm gonna just give it a second to see if anyone has any questions, because this is your opportunity to like, Darla can actually like, you know, there's nothing else that's gonna be pulling her focus. She can just like answer your questions, and because I know we talk, because I'm trying to think like what I could ask you.
Girl, you
Because it's
asked.
like so we've definitely got to be in depth. So you guys, this was your chance. You could always comment like later on in the, because I keep this up for a minute and then it goes over to YouTube. And this one I'm going to do the advisory.
But
I'm going to do the advisory. We just a little bit, but we got to do the parental thing. But would you change anything? Would you change anything about your life? That's what Yahira's asking.
I think about that a lot. I always think like, oh, if I didn't go through this, when I'm having my woe is me, you know, everybody has their little pity parties. I don't have them that often, but when I do, I'm like, but I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't. My kids are all that matters, especially when you get older. All that matters is that your kids, your loved ones are healthy. We're good. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? And the crap that I've been through, like everybody else, I'm no different. The crap that we've been through in the past is not going to determine who we are today. You can't allow that, because if I allowed all my pain, I would be miserable. I don't even know if I'd be married. I wouldn't be a good mom. I wouldn't be a good grandma. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I can't change any of that. And I played the victim for years.
Unfortunately, some people can't move back past that. Some people can't. They just can't. It's not possible. Because I witnessed it in my family, you know. But I'm just like, once you learn that that's dysfunctional or whatever, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to move on. And like, I realize that this is a bad thing for me. So I'm just going to move on.
But you know what really helped me move on from that was when I worked in social work. I kid you not. My advice, ladies, to anybody, and this is the advice I would give everybody when I would teach my life skill classes, you need to, at least one time in your life, you need to get out there and volunteer. You need to teach your children, because nowadays these children feel so entitled. Get out there. My kids were little, we used to always, when we lived in California for Thanksgiving, we'd go and help the homeless, because I worked in all these places. But we always helped. And my son, he lived in California. There was this guy that was always at the liquor store over there. My husband would go put gas. My son would go put gas. He would take him. My daughter-in-law would make food. They'd take. So my kids are like that. But I tell you, I kid you not, ladies, if you go through depression, or even if you don't go through depression, if you're suffering from whatever ever is beating you up, you need to step back and you need to find somewhere to volunteer. If you come from abuse, you're in a domestic violence situation, give back. And it's totally going to give you some peace. You know what? I suffered that crap. I suffered it. I survived it. Now it's my turn to give back to those that needed someone, because where were they when I needed someone? There was nobody for me. You know what I mean? Where were they? So I cannot stress that any more than anything. You need to just volunteer. And you don't have to go and speak. Just go for Christmas. Take your kids, your grandkids. You know what? You're very spoiled and you got a good life. That's what I tell my son and my kids. Grandkids are all have an amazing life. Nope. You need to go and pick out a couple of your Christmas gifts and let's go give them. You need to go and help that person on the street. Don't judge the homeless people that are out there. Don't judge the women. You never know anyone's story. Go on for hours about it. You know.
I cannot. I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that. And like any volunteerism that I've done, it's like always been. It's been heart healing and heart happy. You know, to be able to help somebody. So I totally concur. I totally concur. So okay. So this. Amazing. I'm so stoked that you agreed to sit down with me and have this conversation. I got to know you even more, and it makes me appreciate you even more. And so you not following Darla, make sure that you're following her. She's amazing. I bought my fair share from her. And she's like, and I won a giveaway recently, and I'm just like, what? But it's just, she's an amazing person, and I highly recommend you follow her. If you could please subscribe to my my YouTube channel, Conversations with StrayKatStyle 1017. If you could please do that, that'd be amazing. If you want to sponsor, you can sponsor. Okay, it can be whatever you're comfortable with. You can either do it monthly or yearly to sponsor, because I do love doing this, and it is a labor of love, but it is like it's a fledgling. So I would really appreciate this. Is going to be up for a while, but as soon as I'm able to, I'm going to add it to YouTube so you can be able to watch it, and it's easier to like get to places, like stop it and get back to where you are when you do it there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's easier to do. So thank you, my loves. It was a pleasure. You guys, thank you for everybody that stopped by, everyone that is still here. We really appreciate you. Like, people came in and out. They're probably eating, doing all that. We really appreciate you. And if you have any like, ooh, Kat, this would be like someone I would love for you to have a conversation with, please DM me and I'll reach out to the person. I'll try and make it happen. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Okay, T, I love you. Okay, so much love. Okay, much love, guys. Mwah, full heart. And we'll see you guys soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.